Hi there, and welcome to my Soul Authority channel. I'm Lorraine Van Tool, transformational life coach, holistic psychologist, and meditation guide. I'm staking out the safe spiritual space in solidarity so we can hear our authentic voice over all the noise and realign ourselves with clear choice. This is at the heart of Soul Authority. If you felt burned out and low, join us in rekindling our inner fires and getting back in the flow. Thank you, thank you. Today, I am going to focus on a key concept that psychologists often talk about, being intrinsically motivated instead of extrinsically motivated, knowing where your locus of control is, knowing your value system, knowing how to stay in alignment with your integrity. These are all terms and phrases that are often used, not just by therapists, but you hear that often in work settings, in school settings. And it's kind of a vague and nebulous concept for people. I get lots of college undergrad students who are very stressed and they're 100% convinced that they're intrinsically motivated. And they're listening to, for example, an inner critic, or they're stressed out because they're behind. And there are lots of voices nowadays running through our heads, and we assume because we're feeling a feeling in our body, we're having an experience, we're hearing a voice, we're reacting to somebody disapproving or giving us a look or maybe saying something judgmental, and we already automatically believe that it's us. And often what I get is like, I am the worst judge. I'm even harder on myself. So why is it important for us to take a closer look at what is happening inside of ourselves uh, before we can accurately discern whether we're intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated? Is because not a lot of people tell us or explain to us. When we go to school, we learn lots of things. The things we don't learn, especially if we're very sensitive and empathic, is how we internalize parts, or in psychology, you would even call this an introject, where you internalize. Especially an introject would be somebody who's a perpetrator or intrusive, as you can tell from that word, intruding or overbearing or talking over you. And so you automatically, when you're sensitive, want to avoid that bad feeling or the punishment, retaliation, whatever might come along with whatever we're doing, especially if we're having very intense objections or feelings. We don't like somebody or we're being mistreated. And now we're having a consistent or chronic reaction that's quite appropriate. Let's say it's hurt or it's anger. But the person we're upset with, the situation we're upset with, is not about to budge. And the person, let's say it's a parent or a teacher, whoever, friends, society, is very uncomfortable or does not like to be reminded by you or exposed, or have parts, their own shadow parts exposed by you. So what are they going to do? They're going to coerce you. They're going to do something to punish you, to make you feel really bad about your feeling that is, like I said, totally in integrity. It's integrated. It's communicating to you, this should not happen. This is not appropriate or not in my best interest or not respectful, whatever the case might be. So what they do is they kind of split that part off. They might say something like, "Who do you think you are? You're being disrespectful. If you do that again, you're gonna do blah 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 blah." So as you can see, like you're like feeling fine and okay, except for that part. And if you're a child, you're gonna now even turn, yourself, or you're gonna turn against that part. You're gonna reject that part. You're gonna repress that part. You're gonna decide that, oh, I'm loved, I'm lovable, or I'm safe if I don't listen to that part. If I also agree, if I now internalize the perp or the whoever is mistreating you, I internalize that voice. So I'm like even ahead of the game. And the opposite could also happen, where let's say you're yourself and you're thinking about your needs and your wholeness, your happiness, you're naturally not berating on yourself. But let's say you have a parent who is very high strung or very achievement focused, or whatever the case might be. They could do something where they're not necessarily punishing you, but they do the opposite and they really reinforce good behavior or a certain part of yourself, and you like really overextended yourself one day and you worked really hard, you didn't sleep much, or got really stressed, and they're like, oh, but that makes you like, that's why you're such a wonderful child and you're so smart and you're going to do so well and this and this and that. So now that part is highlighted and that part gets split from the rest. And you're again also not in integrity, or you might be, it's not scary, you're going to get punished, but it could be scary in the sense of you don't get the attention, you don't get the love, you don't get the approval, you're not going to do as well, or whatever. You're going to be forgotten if you don't shine, if you don't really go the extra mile. So this is how or why we internalize the voices and how we internalize the voices. And then by internalizing the voices, we think we're one step ahead of the game. Now we can predict, we understand how to please, we can uh, also orchestrate like a good harmonious bond or connection with somebody else. And that connection, it could also we can start to generalize or overgeneralize it in terms of success or money or whatever we think it's going to get us, whatever success or happiness we're after. So it can become so big, and that connection of these two parts overrides, or if you think of it as a weighted like factors in a equation. For example, we talk about different weights of the fact of the um I forget what these different factors, let's say X and whatever the letters might be. It's like you're putting more weight on a certain variable. And so what happens is the external could be many different parts now, as you're seeing, right? That can get reinforced or punished and whatnot. All of these have more weight than our internal initial opinion, feeling, or our sense of integrity, because we get conditioned and we start, most of the time when we go to school, very few times are we really reinforced, validated, seen for being in our integrity, and somebody is whole enough, present enough, has no hidden agenda or anything to really reinforce that, and sort of the boundary around that, the firewall around that. So we're very confused. We often don't really know what that voice is. And a lot of times also in psychology, there's a type of therapy. It's called Gestalt therapy. And maybe you guys have heard of these ideas of sort of the ground and the figure. The ground is sort of the background. The figure is more like a vase on a, let's say, a painting of a vase and the background is like the wall or something, right? So content, our minds, our ego minds were such sort of doing, thinking societies that a lot of times we don't meditate enough, or even when we meditate, we don't quite get who we are. We identify with all the content, the identities, the things we do, what people see, all of that. And the ground, what we drop back on into, that silence, that just being, we just tend to think of it's like, oh, okay, it's a little bit of respite. This is just like where we refuel before we jump back out, right? So this is even at the core level, splitting of parts in some ways, and we don't really even understand that we are really more of the ground, that the content, the parts are just very like conditional, they're culturally uh sort of determined. They come and go as you age at different times in your life, if you move. So it takes a lot for us to really go deep into our intrinsic sense of self and really trust that source of sort of nebulous, vague, like sense of who we are, because we really like the tangible and the predictable and the certainty so much. And it's not that the content and all these things we need to do to survive don't matter. It's just a matter of what matters most, right? Intrinsically motivated. It's that slight difference of the chick coming out of the egg. Even if the mama hen says, come on, an hour maybe or a day earlier, it could be the demise, could be the end of the chick, versus the chick doing it on its own terms when it's strong enough, when it's really ready to take its breath. So it's sort of like that. Think of all the different things and ideas we have as little eggs trying to hatch, and we do need to bring our energy or sense of life source, all of that's plugged into a deeper source, even beyond our own inner, beyond our human self. We do need to be connected with that, and then backlight or connect or fuel the content, the identity, the things, achievements, the things we want to do. And I think if we do that and really do it one for all for one, not go haphazard, even if we have to take turns, but make sure all the parts are balanced. It's basically like being a mama hen with a bunch of chicks. And while each are individual, these parts are individual, you do need to move as a unified front. One part cannot do things at the expense of the whole or other parts. So we're going to do that in the meditation and make sure that we have all our parts gathered. And I'm going to do meditation to clear whatever might be in the center and obstructing the integration. And then hopefully this makes sense of how to be first intrinsically, I think, connected, deeply connected, before we can even be motivated, before we really understand who we are, what our authentic voice is, and how to move in that direction. Thank you for joining me today in staking out spiritual space in solidarity and in community. Please share this video and the Zoom link below with anyone who would love some support in hearing their authentic voice over all the noise and realign with clear choice. I offer me time through meditation virtual meetings every second and fourth Monday of the month from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. PST. If you would like deeper and more personalized guidance, how to heal, love, lead with soul authority, please visit me at soulauthoritycoaching.com or thesacredhealingwell.com for more information.